Hey y'all, it is Rudy6 here once again. We are back with episode 4 of the BODCAST. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently this week. I was using these first 4 episodes as sort of a test run, sort of like a pilot season of a show, just sort of, work out some kinks, figure out some creative direction that I want to go with it. And I've got an exciting little rollout plan, and it's going to launch on next week's episode on July 22nd. So just to sort of mark the end of our little pilot tester season, I'm not going to be putting the audio or the music onto this episode. Just going to let y'all hear my beautiful chocolatey voice. And yeah, so this episode's going to be brief. Just going to talk about a few things, and then I'm going to send y'all off, and we'll be back with some new content, new guests, and some new direction for next week's episode. Welcome to the BODCAST. Let's do it, bitch! So last night, I went out to my car and just had a little smoke. Nothing super out of the ordinary for me, but it reminded me of when I was living in LA. I was living in South Central with my grandpa right after college, and I was working at a sales gig. I was doing door-to-door sale. I hate calling it sales because we did door-to-door sponsorships. We got people to sponsor kids from developing countries in an effort to prevent child trafficking. I fucking thoroughly enjoyed the job. It was very personally fulfilling. Like it felt like I was serving a bigger purpose, and it was just very inspiring. I was driving a car that I got from my friend. It was a 1994 Nissan Sentra with a bunch of rainbow-ass duct tape across the ceiling of the car. The car had probably 400 to 420,000 miles on it. And that bitch was a true burr! Like, that got me through some shit. But I specifically was thinking about when I would be staying with my grandpa. I worked in Hollywood, but drove back and forth from South Central. When I would get home some nights, I would just chill outside and smoke a joint. And then I was thinking about like my my mindset in those nights. Like it was very you ever look back on how you used to think and just feel like you've lost a little bit of your inherent positivity? That's what it made me realize. Like I felt so almost disconnected from that person. Not entirely, but it felt like the connection was starting to fade. Like I was in my car smoking. I was like, I'm in a very different headspace. I still have a lot of belief in myself and a lot of belief in possibility. But there's just something about our own mortality that I think just slowly creeps up on us if we don't pay any attention to it. So I'm going to start paying attention to it. This episode is going to be pretty brief. I'm just going to talk about a few things that I just wanted to get out into the air. Some will be funny. Some will be a little bit more on the serious side. But I'm just going to talk for a little bit because next week, the 22nd, it marks the end of Cancerian season, and I'm actually going to be launching I'm not doing a relaunch of the podcast necessarily, but I'm sort of refocusing it and restructuring it. You might not even notice as a listener, but these have just been sort of some trial runs of different ways to do the episode, where to record the episodes, and just what I want to talk about and how things sound, how things come across, how these episodes really come together. And I'm going to be taking some very deliberate and exciting changes to the show starting in this next week's episode. One thing I've noticed since I started recording this show is that I hate the way that I intro. I sound like some cracked out game show host, which I'm not opposed to being, but the same thing, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, this has nothing to do with what I was previously talking about, but right now, I look back on that time when I was sitting in my car, full of possibilities. I know I still felt so stuck. So, like, I still had this feeling of, like, of waiting for the next thing, or feeling like I needed to be in a different place, or I needed to have certain things in order to feel fulfilled and feel correct, feel right, feel validated. But it's like you fast forward and you've done more things, you've seen more places, you've met more people, but somehow you still feel like you're waiting for something. And that's really what I want to talk about, is that whole idea of waiting to be the person you need to be, or waiting to know the things you need to know. And I'm never going to knock studying, research, training, practice, all that stuff, but I feel like intuition is so critical to success in anything that's out of the box, or anything that isn't just laid out right in front of you. And you can't teach someone how to trust their intuition. Someone has to just see it in themselves, find little markers that put you back on track. Because I'm a bitch. My intuition is on point. When I shut the fuck up and really trust my intuition, I always end up where I need to end up. But my mind is so scattered. I know everybody says this, but I genuinely think I have attention deficit disorder. I don't think I've always had it, but I think something about like societal pressure and some bullshit and anxiety and maybe a little bit too much weed. But I feel like some things have like ignited that just lack of focus in me. And for me, it's more of a lack of focus in remembering really just critical lessons that have to do with self-confidence, that have to do with self-worth, that have to do with my creativity. Like, I have to be reminded. I'll be in the studio and I'll like record like a fire ass verse, and it'll be the shit. It'll be like one take, done. But I've got like this bug in my brain. I'll come out of the booth saying, "All right, let's do that again." And my producer, my engineer will be like, "You sure? Like, what did you want to do again? Because that sounded fucking great." And then I'll have him play it back, and I'll go into listening to it looking for where I fucked up. And then when I do that, I'm not really hearing it. I'm not really hearing the vibe. I'm not hearing it as someone who's just going to be giving the music a chance. I'm hearing it as my what RuPaul calls my inner saboteur. And my inner saboteur is looking for a reason. It's like fucking Pink. Bitch, just give me a reason. Just a little bitch is enough. And I'm looking for any reason, to the point that I've listened to playbacks of songs and heard like a fucked up note, and then been like, "Oh no, we got to scrap that shit." And then my producer will be like, "No, shut up, listen to it again." And then I'll listen again and be like, "Oh bitch, that sounds fucking tight. What was I talking about?" And it's just, we have to sit with it. I feel like we have to sit with those thoughts in order to rise above. We have to observe those thoughts. We have to see those thoughts. I would have just let that shit eat me alive if I weren't vocalizing it out loud, and if I didn't have a rapport with somebody that gave them the comfort to be able to tell me, "No, this sounds legit, and I do this. I'm not your mama saying that everything you do is great. Put it up on the fridge. I do this for a living, and I'm telling you it sounds great." And you know what really frustrates me about those moments is that I'm so it just shows me that I'm not present. I'm so concerned about how something sounds or how something is going to be perceived. Like if I gave myself a little bit of time, or if I really let myself just breathe and focus and think, then I'd hear what reality is a little bit sooner, instead of being so stuck on an idea that I have in myself about how I'm perceived. And I feel like this is connected to all of my issues with validation. The reason that I spend time, trying to get validation from, whether it's friends or family or motherfuckers on Grindr. I'm just gonna continue to reference that shit because it's it's a staple in my life. Looking within is such a bitch and such a gold mine at the goddamn same time. But I think we just need to. We're so afraid to look inward and to look at ourselves and to look at the shit that the bullshit that we serve up on a fucking platter, the excuses that we make. And it's the lessons. It is the constant forgetting of self-worth. And it's so damn frustrating. But I think what can really counteract that is routine, very deliberate thought processes, and consistency. And I want so much to be just a consistent person, but I feel like I am such an inconsistent person. But I am crafting a routine, and this podcast, the BODCAST, will fit into that routine a little bit more neatly than it does now. Doing this shit every week ain't no joke, on top of trying to make sure that I'm making enough money to keep a roof over my head, on top of keeping this fucking phone on top of trying to get into the studio and just do all these events and show up for other people and get your ass on social media. There's a lot of shit going on. So no, I don't want no kids. But that's really what doing this podcast is going to serve for me. It's going to really force me into a position where I need to, just for sheer survival, I need to create a stronger routine in order to. I'm very much a carriage before the horse type of person. Like, I put a system in place that is going to force me to become more organized. And that's just what I got to do. It's what I got to do, and I feel like everybody needs to find out what works for them and rock it the fuck out. When you're in that loop of forgetting those lessons and running on that same cycle, we need to reach in and stop the fucking rotation so that we can do something a little bit different and a little bit better than what we did before and who we were before. So yeah, I just wanted to hop on and just say a little bit of that. It's not going to be anything too deep, too serious. But I'm very, very excited about things coming down the Pipita pipeline, the Pippi Longstockings. Side note, I need to see one of these Drake Kiki Do You Love Me things. I need to see somebody do this for Kiki's delivery service. I think it's a rare opportunity to merge such an iconic anime with such a... I don't really feel like this song is iconic, but Drake can literally put out himself taking a shit. And people would buy it. It would be number one on iTunes within seconds. Let's look into that. If we could do maybe this Kiki choreography on a broom with a cat, somebody. Well, I think we really need that for world peace. Also, welcome to the world. What's her name? Culture Kiari Cephas, child of Cardi B and Offset. I never shit on people's babies, and I'm still not going to. But when I tell you that I thought Cardi B was announcing that she was going to be in like a Final Fantasy game, that name is giving me very anime robot vibes, very destroyer of cities vibes. I feel like it should summon an Aeon. And I feel like she could be the second coming. Culture Kiari Cephas. I don't know where Offset is from, but that nigga must be an android with that last name. Also, this is my last episode during Cancerian season, so I just wanted to say a big shout out to Cancerians everywhere. I say it often but I feel like the sign Cancer is the least popular of all the signs because, if for nothing else, for the sheer fact that we are named after a disease and our animal and mascot is a crustacean. We're not always dealt the best hand, but bitch, you best believe I'm gonna have a fucking crab boil, and we're gonna cure the cancer in all of our minds. You know what I'm talking about? So shout out to many of the Kraken level cancers that I've shouted out this month. We've had Della Reese, we've had Kathy Bates, Meryl Streep, Harrison Ford, Nelson Mandela. There's more. Malala, girls' education activist, and just all around young badass. Me, I too am a Cancer, so I think that's pretty cool. The podcast is going to be the vehicle with which I am able to drive myself into the next just sickening phase of my life. And I'll wrap up with this. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about astrology throughout these podcasts because it's something that I don't, it's not the law of my world, but I just think that being someone who isn't religious, I crave structure in certain ways. I crave these tools for reflection and these tools for looking inward. So by no means do I look at astrology as being the law of the land. I mean, it isn't even scientifically proven, so you can't really claim that. But I'm very much into the idea of the framework that it provides me to look inward And I think that's something that people can benefit from if they choose to look into it. And so if you're here to shit on people that just get their kicks even a little bit out of astrology, then this ain't gonna be for you. But I think that there's a lot of lessons and a lot of conversations that can be learned from digging a little bit into astrology. But there's this thing, this phenomena, if you will, known as Saturn's return. And basically what it is, it's the period in your life when the planet Saturn reaches the same position it was in when you were born. And people say that it happens anywhere between the ages of 27 and 32. But it's basically a time of reflection. It's a time of, basically you're either going to be in a period of setting intentions and getting rid of shit that does not serve you in your life, or you're going to be allowing things that don't serve you to just set up shop, and they're going to just be part of your life, and that's just what it's going to be. So everybody, is living their lives and doing their thing, but that's the idea of what Saturn's return is. It's sort of like a spring cleaning in your life, where you're able to move old shit out and bring new shit in, new habits, new goals, new possibilities, new people, new focus, whatever the fuck it is. But it's a very uncomfortable time, and I feel like I am totally embracing that spirit of just like there is no reason my schedule should be as packed as it is with the number of things that I'm trying to do, whether it is just to keep a roof over my head and get more money in my pocket, or if it's to create these creative pursuits. I have a lot of interests, and I want to create a structure in my life that allows me to pursue these interests, maintain my my livelihood and my ability to live somewhere and grow all at the same time. So that's what Saturn's return is all about. And I think that with enough focus and enough just giving a shit, you ain't gotta wait till you're between the ages of 27 and 32. It's not too late once you're already beyond the age of 27. Like, I don't think it's a law of the land that you can only clean house in your life between the ages of 27 and 32, bitch. No. It just takes a level of focus and a level of connection. I forget about these things that I learned about myself, or these things that I want to improve about myself, when I don't talk about it, because my brain is packed with thoughts. So as more things come in, other shit just goes out, and I need to reintroduce certain habits and certain things into my life to keep myself on track. But by creating this system with a podcast and talking about these things, having real conversations with either myself like I'm doing now, shout out to Dunkin' Donuts for this $1.50 iced coffee. It's a little bit more when you get almond milk, because dairy wreaks havoc on my body. But yeah, it's all about having those conversations with yourself, but also getting out of yourself. That's, part of being a Cancer. The crab is our symbol because we're good at being reserved within our shell, but we always have a need to emerge out of our shell as well. So for me specifically, it's about trying to find that balance between those dualities of, okay, I'm going to take a step back and be with me for a while, and then that will keep me rejuvenated to continue to put myself out of my comfort zone, out of my shell, so that I'm able to be more present, more alert, more focused, and more fabulous. You know what I'm saying, bitch? So I just want to say I wish all of you a kick-ass week. Tell your friends about the episodes of the podcast that we have already recorded thus far, and we're gonna keep getting people into this. We're gonna keep expanding this, and this is gonna be dope. Over time, I'll reveal what the structure and the framework of these episodes are going to be. But for now, just sit tight. We're going to be doing some cool shit at next week's episode. And I just wanted to do something short, something a little sweet. I know last week's episode was pretty long. So I just wanted to do something real quick, just to let y'all know that we're going to be cranking out some content. And we are not going to rest on being content. And I'm not going to use the C word here, even though the wordsmith in me just sees it as the perfect opportunity to do it. I'm not going to do that, all right? Not today. Maybe another day. Once again, my name is Rudy Six. You can catch us here on the podcast every Monday. Right now, we are just on SoundCloud. You can find us on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/thebodcast6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. And that's where all of our episodes are going to be. This here's episode 4. We're going to be back here with episode 5 next week, and a new and reinvigorated sense of purpose. So I'll be reintroducing the podcast next week, and we're going to dive into some really dope shit. Email us at thebodcast6@gmail.com. THEBODCAST6SIX. I'm going to do that one more time. This is confusing. Spelling out numbers makes my life confusing. THEBODCASTSIX@gmail.com. And I hope you guys just have a kick-ass week. You are already where the fuck you need to be. A little pro tip that implies I'm a professional. I'm a professional motherfucker, if you know what I'm saying. Anytime that I'm out and about in the world and I cross paths with a butterfly, I would do this to keep myself going through the day when I'd be doing door-to-door canvassing and losing my fucking mind. But anytime that I would see a butterfly cross my path, it would give me a little reset, just to show me that I'm in the right place at the right time. And I feel like it's those sort of things that we can, like, you know, just like little checkpoints. It doesn't mean that the butterfly is my fucking god or the deity of all deities. It just means that I want to do better. I want to feel better. So I'm going to put a little bit of my power into this place. I'm going to invest in this little totem, this little icon, to give me a little bit of a boost when I can't find it inside of myself. It's still coming from within. It's coming from a genuine place of wanting to be better and do better. But it's like hiding a joint underneath the mattress of a hotel room bed that you know you're going to be back at in about a week. And it's like, bitch, I can't travel with weed on the plane, not in 2018. But let me come back in a week or two, and I'm going to have a joint to spark up. A little emergency fund, a little savings account. And I feel like, you know, we do it with our money, we do it with our food, we do it with our clothing. You know, when summer rolls around, you put that sweater under the bed, bitch. It's time for jock straps and G-strings. Let's do it. You know, bitch, you know what I mean. It's time for jock straps and G-strings, bitch, you know what I mean. It might get a little hasty. But when we invest in our future, when current you does shit for future you love you a whole lot more. If I drink Pedialyte before brunch, bitch, 4 p.m. me is going to be loving the fuck out of 11 a.m. me. I'm just saying. We can do better for ourselves and by ourselves. So let's learn. Let's live. Let's love. Let's love. Look at God. I'm going to catch y'all next week. I think I've been done.